You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Euro 2020 show. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. Just by watching a very, very good Euro 2020 semi-final between Spain and Italy. Wilson, how are we?
A wee bit disappointed. I'd backed the Spanish on penalties and it went all the way, obviously, as it helps England. So the Italian boys will be shattered now for the final. But I actually thought, and Rory made a good point last night, saying the best team doesn't always win the tournament. And I think you could say that will certainly be true if Italy win it, because they were taught a lesson tonight and at times.
Shankers, what's happening?
No, I agree. It was a very good game. Unusual to watch. It was very quick, played at a good pace, so it was very enjoyable.
Rory, how are we?
Yes, not too bad. Spain certainly the better team possession-wise, but as the saying goes, the hardest part of the game is to put the ball in the net, and all tournament they've struggled to do it, and come up against the Italians, they're going to see the game out and they're going to punish you at some point.
We'll start off with the overall game. Wilson, was that an enjoyable game from start to finish, Shank?
Yes, it was. Busquets was absolutely unplayable at times. First, kind of 10, 15 minutes, Spanish looked up for it. Wee bit nervy at times, but it kind of grew and I thought it was actually going to open up a wee bit more than it actually did in the first half. I know we had a wee side bet on when the first goal would be scored and we're messaging back and forth. I thought it might actually be a wee bit more open than it was. But again, it's a big semi-final, so I think nerves play a part. Kind of strange that Spain not really going with a recognised striker. I know they'll maybe regret that now by bringing Morata. But all in all, a very enjoyable game to watch. Two good teams, not two great teams, but two good teams.
Shankers, was that a fair result? Did Italy deserve to get through?
In my opinion, probably not. I think it was kind of evenly balanced through it. I think in overall you could end up, it was a sort of toss-up in penalties, in it. Whoever was the most confident is sticking the ball in the net, and that's how it went through. But I was actually very impressed with the way Spain played, and I never seen them. We thought they would have a lot of the ball, but I didn't see them playing it at that pace. I thought they would try and control it and kind of slow it down a bit, but it's totally opposite of what I thought. And the wee move for Spain's goal, with it coming for the back, Laporte into Morata, 1-2 and through, cut Italy open. It doesn't really happen a lot to the Italians, and it was good to see some good football played. But it's hard to say. A draw was probably a fair result, and then obviously it goes all the way. And sometimes people say it's luck in penalties. Sometimes it's a bit obviously, as Rory says, sticking the ball in the back of the net. And I actually feel sorry for Alvaro Morata. I could almost see it coming when he was stepping up.
A strange one though, Shankers, because you'd think he'd be the most confident guy to take a penalty
Do you think it was playing on him that he missed before in the tournament?
Even when he was walking up in that, I just didn't look. I don't know if you've seen it before when they were picking penalties and Enrique was circling the names on the tactics board who was hitting, and when the camera caught, he was in the middle of talking to Morata, and it was a bit back and forth, and then he circled his name as if he was kind of basically saying, "Are you sure you're what hit?" But it's hard. I want my strikers to hit penalties all day, so fair play to him for coming forward, but it's just one of the things, isn't it?
Rory, would you go along with that? Do you think the right result came out at the end?
I think so. I definitely understand what Wilson's saying. Like, if you put that Spanish side up against any team in the world, they're going to have the most possession. They're going to keep the ball. They're going to, play the wee side rule passes and get people in. They don't have enough conviction at the top of the pitch. It's been the same all tournament, so that's a huge part of the game as well. So I totally understand what Wilson's saying. If you're going to look at a team surely on football and ability, then you can't look past the Spanish. But I think the Italians would have known that. They've struggled to score goals. And I mean, Chiesa's goal was a moment of magic. What I did like was, and we kind of touched on it before, the two centre-backs at Italy splitting. And, they've managed to play their way through teams with pace and split break the lines and find the into the midfield up through the strikers. They struggled to do that in the first 30 minutes. I really thought Spain were going to hem them in because Spain, went up against their centre-backs and didn't let them do that. But then on the flip side, when Spain had goal kicks, etc., Italy did exactly the same thing. So it became a really interesting game. And I agree with Wilson. After about 20 minutes, I thought this game could be really open here because both teams are playing, no team, often you'll find a team will analyse another team before they play them and go, right, this is how we stop them rather than this is how we want to play. Both teams looked like they wanted to play that they wanted to play rather than try to stop the opposition. And Spain just have got the better footballers, but they don't have enough conviction at the top of the field. And I'd been saying all week that Spain would have all the ball, but Italy would win the game. I thought they would win it in the 90 minutes, but Alvaro Morata's chance with the ball thread through on the angle. Appreciate it might be a tight angle, he might no score. He takes that extra touch. I can't say the other boy's name, Rathabald or whatever you call him. He was on beforehand. Lovely little ball into the box. Totally misses his header. A couple of chances before that. Their conversion rate must be 1 goal every 6 clear-cut chances. Mm-hmm. Italy can score goals for all over the park, and I just felt on the balance of play, I would rather see Italy in the final than Spain. But what I will say is neither team, that would have been a worthy final.
Yep.
I know England have got the potential to win it, but I don't know if you're going to get a tougher game if you're Italy or Spain than the game you had tonight.
Wilson, obviously Jorginho hit the winning penalty. Are you a fan of his run-up technique?
I'm only a fan of guys that score penalties. I mean, it still mystifies me, guys that are paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week with a free shot from 12 yards can't hit the target. I don't mind if it's an outstanding save from the goalkeeper, but Morata's one's a poorly struck penalty. I actually thought the first save from Rory's mate was decent. Second guy blazes over the bar, and again, I was going to ask the two boys this. I'd taken a wee bit of notes before it. Like, have you been involved in? Obviously not at the same level, possibly, but have you been involved in shootouts? And touched on Shanker's point earlier. I'd be wanting all my strikers to hit, and what you tend to see is usually your captain hits in the first 5. Now I noticed Chiellini didn't hit, but when Bonucci was striking, Danny Murphy was boring me with the stats about what penalties he'd missed previous and all that kind of stuff. And as I say, and I've kind of had this feeling throughout it. See, when Italy have played their games, I always feel the BBC commentators are rooting for the opposition because they know that's England's biggest threat. It was as if they were willing Bonucci to miss, and they kind of got a bit of egg in their face because there's no chance Jorginho was missing. His penalty rate must be unbelievable at Chelsea as well. So not surprised to see him score a winning penalty. Technique, it doesn't really matter as long as you hit the back of the net.
Yeah, Shankers, you having involved in a penalty shootout?
Aye, a few. I'm trying to think like any that actually really mattered, to be honest, but I can't really think. Maybe I know cup game or something like that, but no like a semi-final or a final or anything like that. No, that stuff. But see, I'm always one of the ones that I would rather hit first because see if you miss the chances, I always feel comfortable that our goalie's got a save in the locker later on. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's just if you do miss, there's another. They've still got 5 penalties to hit or 4 penalties to hit where somebody can miss or goalie can save it. But I said in a couple of shows earlier when one of the games went to penalties, I can't remember what it was, and Danny Murphy said it again, although it is pretty boring. But you need your forward players, and it's normally forward players, midfielders, and then defenders. But I know things have changed nowadays, and folk they sometimes does that wee run up and stuff like that. But I'm wanting my forward players hitting it. But managers will probably just go on who's most confident and who's feeling it at that time. And obviously all the players were confident enough to hit. It's just sometimes it's just your Donald Duck in it.
Definitely. Rory, have you ever on you go?
No, just see like, and again, we appreciate it's not the semi-finals of the European Championships, but if you've been involved in a penalty shootout, and for example, you're confident, you're a forward player, both your forward players, you're quite confident. See, when you see the other 4 names, do you think, Oh my God, what's Willie Lyle hitting one for? Do you feel that, or are you so focused? Because again, I've never been in the situation, but I'm looking at it, and if I'm, Chiesa or whoever up front, I'm thinking, oh God, Bonucci missed the last two, and he's hitting one, bloody hell. Or are you solely focused, just score yours and don't worry about anybody else?
That's a good question. We've actually quite lucky. At some point, we've had like 4 or 5 players. Like Gordon Pope used to hit a lot of our penalties. He was really good at penalties, and then the 2 Wilsons, myself. So like we were kind of the 4 players that would maybe, and if somebody missed, we'd go into the next one and go in our 4. So we've been quite lucky in our team. I can only speak for us that everybody's kind of confident in the boys that are hitting. But I know what you mean. Like some of the Spain boys must have been. Well, Morata missed one against Slovakia, and I'm not sure if I fancy him. As Rory says, he's went and got his goal, and surely was on a high. So as a strange one, there will be boys that have been in teams and oh no, surely he's no hitting one.
Rory, you ever that
Rory's
example?
teammates.
I listen, I've been involved in a few. The one that stands out to me probably was one. I went on loan to Dunfermline when I was 19, 20, and it was Valentine's Day, and we got a penalty away to Partick Thistle, right? So it was the year that St Johnstone got promoted. They must have won honestly, I don't know how many games on the bounce to get promoted, and they've been in the Premier League ever since. So we got a penalty. We're 1-0 down, and we got a penalty in the last minute of the game, and I looked at Andy Kirk, and I can tell he doesn't want the penalty. So I takes the ball and puts it down, and I'm like, Jim McIntyre doesn't take any nonsense, and I'm like, if I miss this, I'm walking home, never mind getting the bus home, right? So steps up, I decide where I'm going to put it, and it's a poor penalty. Johnny Tuffy dives to his right-hand side and saves it, but the ball comes back out on an angle, and I managed to get it in the net, luckily enough. So anyway, roll round a few weeks later, we're playing Aberdeen in the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup. We get a draw at East End Park, and we go back up to Pittodrie, where the game finishes nothing each. They know I've obviously missed a penalty a few weeks before that. So I says, listen, I want to take one. Like, I'm still wanting to take one or whatever else. So I gets the 5th penalty. But all week, I don't know if you remember, Jim McIntyre in the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup back in his day. Dinked it.
Over Andy Neil.
Aye, right. So he's given it all week. Listen, lads, if it comes to a penalty shootout, like giving it the pattern and all that, don't shite yourselves, dink it and all that, and this is how you do it. And so I'm thinking, should I dink it? Should I dink it, right? So it turns out, and then Wilson, you're touching on, what's he taking one? Big boy Graham Bain, one of the players that, right, he's got, the shin guards with the ankle protectors that like hangs over their boots. So they're taking a touch and it's bouncing off their ankle protectors, right? So I'm going, right, he can't be taking one. So he's before me, but and I remember being young as well. It was like a $4,500 win bonus to go through and all that. I was like let's go through and all that. I was buzzing. And turns out Ricky Foster and Sonny Oloko missed, and then Graham Bain was in the 4th penalty to win it, and they ended up scoring. But I was pretty nervous. I would have been nervous to take that at 19-20 Scottish Cup final and Scottish Cup quarter final to get through. Taking that, having missed a few weeks previously, but that one stands in my mind. I kind of standing on a halfway line, going, "That's a long walk. That's a long walk."
I'll get 4G, mate. That's all matters. What about hitting the penalties?
But no, listen, that one stands out. I scored a winning penalty in the Carling Cup in one of the early rounds against Oldham when I was down the road. But no, I've never really been involved in a. That was probably the biggest one. To get to the Scottish Cup final at 19-20 was a big deal, and it was the night Jimmy Calderwood was nearly greeting, because that was our best chance in years to win or to get to a major tournament. But that kind of stands out in my mind. When I was at Falkirk as well, we were pushing for promotion, and I missed a penalty. That's pressure as well. I'd scored one earlier in the season against Queen of the South, stuck it right in the top bin, and September, October time. But when it rolls round to January, February, and then I think it must have been April, March time, and I rattled the bar, and I'm sure that at the start of the season I'd have scored that. But that's what pressure does to players. We actually missed 2 penalties. I get taken off them, and Mark Miller get put on them, and he missed one against Livingston a couple of weeks later, which we lost the league by 3 points. So they're the difference makers. So when the pressure's on, it's difficult, because I'm sure Alvaro Morata took 3 or 4 yesterday in training and banged them on the top bin, and that's why I'm not. And I'll put it to you guys as well. it's an interesting debate. One me and my dad have had many times. I'm like, can you practice penalties because you can't put yourself in that position, Shankers? Would you be a fan of practicing penalties? Do you think it's worth it?
We've hit a couple of penalties like just for the sake of doing it to train, no like in preparation for games or that. But our goalie always says to us, Andrew, if we score a couple by him or that, he always say, aye, but it's totally different doing it in training where there's nobody watching you or anything like that. If you miss, it doesn't matter, as you said, the pressure, and they've all practiced them because of the magnitude of the tournament, but it is totally different. And say like Morata's hitting them and there's thousands of Italians behind the goal and all that. Like all that comes into play when you're playing in a game like that. I think it was Spain's last shootout, and the commentator was saying about players walking up for the halfway line. You very rarely see somebody like sprint, no sprinting up, but like a good clip up, get the ball and go and score. Everybody walks up, and I don't know if sometimes that could put pressure on you.
I heard that in the comments the other night. You know, they should be confident and all that, but I'll never forget. It was a Kelly. I think it was a Scottish Cup, and Kelly were playing Airdrie. Now it was early in Gary Hayes' career because he missed one as well. And good friend of Pikey's, Alan Mahood, good friend of the show. It was the first time I'd ever seen that. I think he was maybe second or third or whatever. And like whoever Airdrie scored, and Alan get the ball and he runs up with the ball, puts it on and hits it as quick as he can. And the keeper saves it. And then I think Hookie maybe missed previous to that, and that was Kelly out. Sorry, Alan, to bring that up enough, but that was the first time. I always thought the kind of walk added, you know, the anticipation. As much as it pains me, and it still gives me a wee bit of nightmares when Rangers beat, was it Fiorentina in penalties?
Aye.
Like Nacho Nova was nearly sleeping. He was that laid back. It took him an age.
I think players are worried or looking nervous though. I think when they're walking up, they're like, I don't want to look nervous. I don't want to look like I'm panicking. So they take that
with the socks down and the strip out and the cigar and the Campari. I won't hit this penalty, put us through, which is a massive thing for obviously Rangers at the time. And as you say, I think we all agreed. We're all looking at Morata going, he's not scoring this.
I didn't have any faith in him whatsoever.
Do you remember in 2006 when Germany played? I think it was Argentina. And Jens Lehmann had the sheet in his sock where all the players would go.
I think that's quite common now, though.
And
you see some of it on people's juice bottles and stuff like that. But
was it not? Was it the cup fight or the cup semi-final when Rogic missed the penalty? Did Craig Gordon or one of them not have it in a water bottle? Another goalie kept moving the water bottle. It was something like that, and they were.
I think I seen that.
Something along those lines, but. Again, a lot of it for me is potluck. You know, you should be confident that these guys level striking the ball and scoring your penalties. But as Rory rightly says, pressure must be absolutely unbearable. And again, obviously at club level it's massive, but you've got the weight of your whole country. You know.
See the boy Belotti. There was a couple of penalties that were slewed right in the top corner and that looks great and everything. But I think Belotti's penalty was probably one of the best ones because he's up. He just fires it low and hard into the bottom corner. The goalie guesses the right way, but
he can't get there.
Pace and accuracy on it, he can't get it. And
keeper goes early as well, Shankers, and it's right in the corner. Doesn't he?
Still can't get it, so it just shows you. But.
And it must be frightening seeing that Donnarumma in goals, man. No matter where I hit this, he can save it.
I know he's some size.
Who were the standout performers in that game, Wilson? Who really impressed you in that game with their performance?
I actually thought Busquets at the start. Jordi Alba got into the game for me. I think when he got the captain's armband, he got a wee bit better as well. I mean, again, at any level of football, even kids football, I don't know what the defender's doing, letting Chiesa cut inside onto his right foot. You know, and that's again, that was another question I was going to ask the boys here because obviously they're forward players. Strikers must be sat and looking at that, going, I can't believe he's just done that. You know, they've just showed them where to hit it and score. I mean,
Ferdinand
incredible
said
finish
in the studio. Like he can shuffle. Stevie shuffles a yard to the left. He has to take him down on his left foot, and because he's that side, he's almost shown him the goal. And but obviously, still has to put it in that corner, but showed him the road. I thought Pedri was good tonight.
I think he's class. Chiesa was good as well.
The boy missed the first penalty.
Olmo.
excellent.
He
was
did
really
well as well. See, to be fair, that standard, there probably isn't a bad player on the pitch. They're all absolutely, excellent players. I actually felt sorry for the Spanish boy who missed the first penalty. I did think he played well as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Shankers, any stick out to you?
Just probably the one that we've mentioned. Who was the other boy that come on late on for Italy? But Berardi. I quite like him. I'm not sure who is it he plays with again.
Sassuolo.
I see. I don't know if he'll still be there come next season. There's a few of the Italian players that will surely be putting themselves out there, but some of them are quite loyal to that.
Berardi's been there a few years.
Quite loyal to like playing in Italy. Same with some of the German players. They like playing in their own countries. But Wilson says like there's that many good players out there. It's hard to pick. I thought Spain were good throughout the whole team. Hard to pick standards. I thought Pedri was really. Is it Pedri? I thought he was really good, and then the boy that's at Leipzig. Is it Ozil?
Rory, what about you?
Listen, the guys have covered all the kind of the main players. I agree with Wilson. The first 25 minutes, Busquets was outstanding. At times, he's playing balls right to guys' feet who, he's winning an attack or the ball's breaking to him, and he's not even looking. He just knows. There's a couple of passes he played in the first 25 minutes, which were excellent. Italy had to adapt slightly, so he wasn't able to pick as many passes as the game progressed, but I thought he was brilliant, really, really good. Jorginho, I think, has been a model of consistency throughout the whole tournament. I think he'll be in the team of the tournament, regardless of what happens now. So the guys have kind of picked out the main ones, but first 25 minutes, I thought Busquets was a standout. He's a defensive midfielder. Normally you want the passes for, you win the ball back, you pass it to one of the other two who would play those passes, but he's breaking up the play when Italy are pressing forward and then picking out number 10s and strikers and things out. Just ridiculous amount of ability for a guy that plays that way. But I think a shout out to Bonucci and Chiellini as well, who were fantastic. Again, I know they conceded, but I don't think any team in the world would be ashamed to concede a goal at that level. The fast flowing play was outstanding. We 1-2s on the edge of the box and things, which is hard to stop. So it was a great game all round. The worst player on the pitch was probably Simon. Unfortunately, he looked a nervous wreck at times. He really did. He shanked a few and whatever else. But listen, it was a great game full of quality. I don't think we'll see as much quality as that tomorrow night. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
See Busquets. See a lot of his passes as well. The first time, passes, he hardly takes more than 3 touches. But when he's on the ball, it's actually brilliant watching. A lot of the players that play in his position play. Get the ball to right back and play it to left back or the defenders. A lot of his passes, as you say, Rory, are forward into strikers' feet are out wide, and it's not as if he's just keeping the ball. A lot of his passes are safe. He's not fit to try a wee risky pass as well. I much prefer somebody there that goes forward all the time and is willing to give the ball away going forward rather than just playing safe going back the way, which is easy.
Defo, and you're absolutely right, mate. And see, playing as a forward player, one of my old coaches always used to say, the less touches you take as a midfielder, the more touches the striker gets. So if you take 3 touches as a midfielder to get into your striker, he's only maybe getting 1. Whereas Busquets batters it in first time, that buys you 2-3 touches, you pass time on. So, you've got a bit of time, but if you pass that ball in rapid and you get it into their feet, as a striker, it buys you maybe a bad first touch or know that these Spanish guys, but a guy at my level, and it buys them 2 or 3 touches rather than having to get that first touch perfect. So you're absolutely right. Busquets was quality tonight.
Just quickly before we move into previewing tomorrow night's game, I want to ask Wilson, have you been a fan of BBC's coverage in this tournament?
Absolutely not. I actually think, don't get me wrong, I think Gary Lineker does his best in the early rounds, but then he gets too excited as well. Shearer's analysis is okay. In terms of tactics and all that kind of stuff. If Micah Richards isn't with Roy Keane, he shouldn't be employed by anyone. Jurgen Klinsmann's okay. Ferdinand's just a cheerleader. And he has some good insights, but the whole balance that they're providing, is absolutely cringeworthy. As I think I said the other night, before the Italy-Belgium game, it was 47 minutes of England and then 30 minutes that included the national anthems for arguably 2 of the best teams playing each other in the world. And again, there was something on tonight. And as I say, I was sitting outside, with the kids and that till about 5-2 before the national anthems, because I don't care. As much as I love Luke Shaw, Manchester United, I don't care what slippers he wears. I genuinely don't care. I just want them to get beat. And even if I actually think the BBC might not show the final if England don't win tomorrow, that's how biased it's been. And the co-commentators are absolutely horrendous. Janice and Murphy, Keown, gee whiz, man. I'd rather listen to Wayne screaming and greeting for 2 hours than those three, because they offer absolutely nothing.
Shankers, what about you?
Is there any much more to say than that? No, I agree. Like, see, when you're watching Match of the Day and that, these guys are actually good to listen to and stuff like that, because a lot of the time they're coming from a non-biased view or opinion. But as Wilson says, see, the later the tournament goes and England are still in it, it does get tough to listen to. And it says, like, Italy, Spain, probably two of the biggest nations that could play in a tournament. Think of everything you could cover, everything you could speak about, all the players, all the talent on the pitch, and Roberto Carlos. That's what they're calling him. You know what I mean? It's actually a disgrace to Roberto Carlos that they're comparing them. And
in the last 20 years, Italy's won a Euros and a World Cup. Spain have won 2 Euros and a World Cup, and they're talking about, Luke Shaw. It's absolute. It's ridiculous.
Do you think, sorry to interrupt, do you think, like, Germany's coverage, if they were still in at this level, would be like that? I think they would have respect to the other two nations that are playing. I think it's just this country, or not this country, but I think it's just like this nation like England that is like that.
Do you not think it's because we're seeing it, but we're not feeling it, like, kind of thing? Do you know, think that's it as well? Like,
no, but I mean, did you? I mean, if you think back to the Serbia game when we qualified, as such, it was James McFadden jumping about the studio, mouthing off, and going bananas. No, he wasn't. He was commentating on the game what he's paid for. He's Scottish. I played for Scotland, but he wasn't jumping about like a maniac and saying Scotland's going to win it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and then they don't show the Old Firm game or whatever and talk about Scotland for 47 minutes preview. They discuss what game's on. Do you know what I mean? And that's where as much as we've had a laugh about it, when it's been Old Firm games or cup finals, they have a balance on each. And Boyd and McCoy antagonise Celtic fans in the same way that Sutton and Hearts and but you still get that balance.
Yeah.
There's still a balance there, so it's hard to complain. Whereas this is just so much pro England all the time, and it's Rory. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still think they'll win it, no bother. But it's as if they've already won it. It's as if they've already won it for beating Croatia.
What about Danny Murphy talking just before the Spain goal? With Rory, I picked up on it, but Rory put it in the WhatsApp group saying about England playing Italy in the final and then Spain going to score. That just shows you the level of arrogance and stuff like that. And
absolutely ridiculous.
ITV have not been the same. I think ITV's coverage has been really good. And
I always think ITV's coverage is better.
But that's what I'm saying. You've got Keane there who doesn't want England to win. You've got Nigel de Jong that doesn't want England to win.
Gary Neville's quite balanced as well, to be fair. Like he'll go a spade a spade.
Because he's been there and been part of letting down a nation before, so he's not getting ahead of himself.
Yeah.
You'd say that, like Ferdinand, maybe, and I don't think Shearer's is bad, but he does at times come across as like bad, obviously.
See how we've discussed that golden generation before, and now you start to see 20 years later wee snippets coming out that the Liverpool guys and they speak to the Man United guys and the Chelsea guys and they blah blah blah. Shearer and Ferdinand were brought up in the era of let's just blame the manager. Let's blame Sven-Goran Eriksson for his personal life. Let's blame Capello. Let's blame whoever it was for playing Paul Scholes at left midfield. And the blame culture, because it's nothing to do with me. I was absolutely brilliant every game in the tournament, so it's nothing to do with me. Whereas, they're thinking now, Gareth Southgate's a nice guy and he's this and he's that and he's going to bring this team glory and all that. I'm just, it's demoralising to listen to it. That's why I don't tune into about 5 to 8 to the national anthems.
To be fair, like I know Wilson feels very passionate about it. I haven't, listen, I don't take heed of these things as much, but I did notice it tonight, to be fair. I was really looking forward to the game to see how Italy played and if they were still going to play out for the back and still do all these things. And the first half was fascinating, like the way the two teams played and how they matched up and things. And I was looking forward to hearing from the guys that have played at that level about how, Italy had lined up, how they continued to play the same way, how they'd broken the lines, how Spain had done the same. All the wee bits where we know what we're talking about, but it's always nice to hear from, these guys who've played at that level. And as Wilson says, it did kind of hit me the night, to be fair, when I'm waiting for all that and I'm sitting waiting for it and you're talking about Luke Shaw slippers. It is a little bit like, come on, like that game has been phenomenal. And, we've all thoroughly enjoyed it and sat and analysed it, spoke about it and given our views on it for 25 minutes, easily, quite passionately, and they can't do it for 10 minutes. As Wilson touches on, the balance wasn't there the night, and there was so much to discuss at halftime. But I also wonder as well how much say is these guys got in it. Does it come for the backroom team that they you need to talk about this or that? But and we're going to show this clip of Luke Shaw, etc. But tonight there was so much to talk about, and they covered next to none of it.
They showed a Rio Ferdinand scoring against Denmark,
and Patrick pass it, it's his goal.
Years ago. He headed across the goal and the goalie dropped it in the net.
I was just looking for a little bit more insight tonight, I think, and things, and a little bit more analysis and a little bit more.
I think that's why ITV's is better, because I think
they've got more. They've got a lot of different people for different nations, like Dion,
but these guys are capable of it. They just choose not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but it would be good to have assess Fabregas and Zola, or somebody for each country who's got passion towards that game, because it was clear to see they weren't thinking it was going to be a good game or anything like that. But they weren't really caring about it, to be honest. Let's be honest. They're focused on the Mora, and they were just there to cover the game and show it for us, and that was it. But see if you had somebody there with a wee bit of passion about played previously with both nations or something like that, it would maybe be good to listen to. But maybe actually the people are like that, Ken, we don't know what to go with them because of the way they are. It could be a bit of that too.
Right, let's move on to tomorrow night's game. England play Denmark at Wembley. Wilson, you've been very bullish that England are going to win this tournament. Give us how you think the game will go and give us a score prediction.
Well, as I said the other night, I knew this game was going to extra time and penalties that would shatter the opposition. Whoever won it, regardless. Can't see England having any problems tomorrow night. I mean, as much as I don't know if you've seen Kasper Schmeichel's interview.
I was going to bring that up.
It's absolutely first class, but again, it will probably be used as a motivational tool in the England dressing room tomorrow. Comfortable winners tomorrow. I think again it'll be similar to the Ukraine game. I think they'll score early, score at vital times. I think the Danes might get some just with their height and their set piece deliveries and whatnot. So I'll go 3-1 England.
Shankers?
In 90 minutes.
I think England will win. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I really don't. I don't care what to expect. But I think England should win comfortably. But the way Denmark have been playing, they've been kind of free, going and expressing themselves and stuff like that. I said the other night, I don't know if they can afford to go and play like that without getting picked off in the break and the quality of England's players. I don't know if they've played a team with as much quality in the forward line as England have, and I don't think they can open up and play that way without getting punished. And if England do score early, like Wilson says, Denmark will have to come out, and I think that again could work in England's favour. I would love to be sitting here this time tomorrow, and I'm absolutely, completely wrong, but I just can't see anything apart from England win. I'll go 2-0.
Rory, what are we thinking?
I think England will win over the piece. I think it might take extra time. I think I always thought England may struggle with a team who would park the bus, but Ukraine parked the bus, and to be fair, England were excellent. There's no denying it, as much as it pains Wilson to hear it. I do think we'll have enough. I don't think it'll be as comprehensive as maybe Wilson, and Wilson thinks. I'm more inclined to think along the lines of Shankers, who thinks England will do it, but I think Denmark have got good quality, and I don't think that England are able to underestimate them. I seen that Schmeichel thing and I retweeted it straight away because I just felt, I mean, what kind of question is that to ask somebody? Do you know what I mean? But I think England will do it, but I think it might take extra time as well. I think the Danish have got more quality than people realise. I know they lost their first couple of games where it was exceptional circumstances surrounding that, but I think they've got the backing of everyone else other than the English. So I think that momentum might see them get a wee result and get them to extra time. But I think England have too much in the end. 2-1 after extra time, I would go with.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you. I think 2-1 England. I think Wilson's right. I think they will score early, and so I think scoring at key times helped them, particularly against Germany. I think when they scored, I think 20 minutes to go, they scored against Germany.
Yeah,
you tell that was just game over. Like,
be interesting as well though, Pikey, because Denmark have come flying out the blocks. It's been a bit of a trait over the last couple of games, and that's what's brought them success. For them to go right, let's come away from that and maybe set up not to concede in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. No, I don't know if that would work well for them.
You're mentioning Luke Shaw as well. Like, Luke Shaw is not going to put as many balls into there because Denmark have got the big men in defence. Like, are they going to get the same luck with Kane getting free headers and things like that? Like, it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a completely different kind of game they played before. And that's
there'll be nerves as well floating about the England squad. So I think it'll be a draw in 90, but England to win it in the extra time.
Yeah, definitely. I think it could be a really, really interesting game. I don't know if it's going to be as good as the game we saw tonight, but it's
not the same.
It'll be as interesting as Luke Shaw's slippers.
Is the game on BBC or ITV?
ITV.
ITV because the BBC was on tonight.
Definitely. So we're going to be here tomorrow night. We might record live actually. I'll no problem. We might do a live one tomorrow night.
You need to bleep my language if they're winning that meeting. I'll keep the reins up the stair.
We'll do that. We're going to go live after tomorrow night's England game, so tune in for that. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this as always. Wilson, Shankers, Rory, thank you very much for coming on past your bedtime.
Definitely
past me.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.